we were just talking with Ali Bestucky, and we were talking about Christ as King, and that whole controversy. And it's not a controversy in my world. I don't really understand why people are so upset about it, except for extremists that want it to be a thing, and want it to divide us. But that's not the thing. Stu and I were just talking about that. This is becoming like a Black Lives Matter thing. Where, remember, you had to post the little black square on,
right.
Had to.
Yeah.
And you couldn't say all life matters. You couldn't say, I think the lives of black people absolutely matter. Couldn't say that. You had to say Black Lives Matter. It was like an incantation.
Yeah.
It was, and I think that's the way it kind of is. It's a mantra that you must say. And when it comes to Christ as King, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, no, that's not good enough for you. Why? Why isn't that good enough for you? Why can't I quote scriptures? Why do I have to say it exactly like you said it? That just tips me off that something's not right there with some people that are saying it. It has another meaning to enough people. Lord of Lords, King of Kings. What? Do I have to say Budweiser is the king of beers? That's an advertising slogan. And so we just have to be careful of these things because, we can't boil things down to slogans. Times are too important. And deception is too widespread. We can't just be a bumper sticker. Can't do it. Today, Donald Trump is at the DOJ. And I came in this morning, and one of the producers said, why is he going to the DOJ? And honestly, why hasn't Pam Bondi given the Epstein evidence? Well, I don't know either of those. But if you'd like me to speculate, I could go right to lizard people because they're all lizard people. Because it wasn't Epstein Island. It was actually Trump Island. We could go there if you want to because the entire world, even your boss, is part of a global pedophile ring. And the only ones that aren't in on it, you and me. I mean, I could go there. I don't think that's what it is, but there are some other options. I'd like to run some of these options down. And I don't think it's one of these. I think it could be a myriad of these things. I had horrible pain in my hands. I had a hard time moving them. I could barely work with them. I couldn't write or type or anything. I tried everything. Then I found Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free supplement developed by doctors, and it's safe to take daily. It made a real impact for me and so many others. Try their 3-week quick start now, $19.95 at relieffactor.com. Bondi is just incompetent or deceiving because she knows, but she's not telling because she needs to keep it secret for some reason. Do you believe that one?
I don't think she's incompetent, no.
Yeah. Do you think she's just doing it because she's part of the deep state cover-up?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Do you think, and this is the big one online now from the left, because they're trying to scrub Donald Trump's name off it. And they've tried. They've tried scrubbing. They've tried soaking, and it just won't come out.
That's just silly. There's pictures of them hanging out from when they had a relationship. They had a very large public breakup,
and it was because of the way Epstein, if I'm not mistaken, treated some waitress or somebody, some employee of Trump's, and he was like, "No, thank you. Get out."
That's what I remember as well. Yeah.
Okay. How about this one? She's not releasing it because Donald Trump wants it released when it's strategically and politically the best time.
Probably not. But I mean,
could play
there's a fringe
some
possibility
role.
there.
Yeah. And it might play a role if there's bigger things. It might be like, wait,
I'm in the
we
middle
got
of
other
this.
things to do. With this particular case, you have to do these things, and then let's strategize on the top. I don't think it's the reason, but it could play a small role.
We saw a slight version of that on the day that the initial stuff came out, which was they had a foreign dignitary in town.
Yeah, it was Prince Andrew's, PM.
Right. And so they were like, well, maybe not. Let's wait till after that meeting is over. Like, so there is strategy that goes into all of this.
That she hasn't done it because the FBI, there's bureaucratic resistance, and they just can't conquer it.
And that's kind of their claim, right? It's bureaucratic resistance from
that was
New York.
Their claim on the first day, but I don't believe that, because that would lead me to believe, if that's true, that would lead me to believe they're in on it. Because why wouldn't you back up the paddy wagons? You know what I mean? If that were the real reason, why wouldn't you back up the paddy wagons? I think that might have been true, but if there is a coordinated effort in New York, I mean, we just talked to our HUD secretary. New York City has one person left in New York in the Department of Housing and Urban Development. One. If that were true, suddenly Donald Trump and all of the people who believe in it, Kash Patel is not, you know what, we're just going to leave those guys alone, though. Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense, although we have seen a somewhat like agency by agency approach when it comes to the doging of the government.
That would be timing then.
It would be timing, but also like, you have a list of priorities that you work through. Maybe they're not to that one yet.
So now let me give you a combination of what I think, to me, is most likely, and you tell me if you think so. Okay. There's part of it is, let's review for privacy reasons. Let's make sure, the girls' names aren't released, that we don't do any damage, and we know the names that are true, and we don't just release a bunch of junk that could get people who weren't involved just swept up into things.
Possible, but it does seem like that is a really legitimate excuse, and if it were the excuse, we'd be hearing more of it.
Well, she did say that.
She mentioned that before she released it.
True.
Right?
True.
And then she released it after she said that she was done with it.
True.
So that's a weird one, but maybe it's still possible. There's so many different pieces of paper that they're looking for.
So when I talked to Kash Patel, last spring or summer, and he said, day one, that will be released. And Donald Trump said, I'm going to release this. They were both coming from a place to where they didn't trust anyone in the DOJ, FBI, the post office, everybody was against them. Mm-hmm. And his strategy back then was lob this grenade into that room and let's see what crawls out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So now that he's not operating that way, he's not throwing grenades he's very, very strategic. Is it possible, and this is what I think is the most possible, is it possible that Kash, when he said, I'm going to release this thing right away, was speaking as a guy who wasn't yet even confirmed. And then when he got in, and Pam's like, wait a minute, because I've seen this in every cop, every Law and Order or whatever, all of them are the same. The prosecutor looks at the cop. Do you want a conviction? Or do you want, just this guy to look good because you caught the bad guy?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dun-dun.
Yeah.
Dick
One
Wolf.
of these arms, Kash Patel, his deal is to gather the evidence and get the bad guy. And his frustration, half a year ago, was they're not exposing anything. They're not releasing anything, and they're not doing anything about it. Okay? So that's where he was coming from. And he didn't trust anybody in the Justice Department, neither did Donald Trump. But now that Donald Trump's person is in there, Kash had that kind of, Law and Order moment where Pam is like, do you want to just release the names so everybody knows? Or do you want to put these people in prison?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so he knows that Trump is. I'm shooting. I mean, this is my theory.
That's what you're doing.
That makes more sense to me. That he trusts Trump. He most likely trusts Bondi. I don't know Pam Bondi, so I have no reason to not trust her, but I have no firsthand experience to go, I trust her. But I do trust Trump, and I do trust Kash Patel. And when Bondi said, wait, you cannot release these yet because I want convictions. Let me get all of these things in order, so when we release it, we go also say, oh, and just pulling this name out of the air because it's riddled with it, Bill Clinton. We're also next week or tomorrow we are filing charges against Bill Clinton.
And you want to release that all at the same time.
Release it at the same time.
Now, of course, I mean, it's not like he's going to be a runaway fugitive, I don't think. Bill Clinton, it would be difficult.
No. But you want to be able.
Just saying,
again, do you want just the names? Because I want the names, and I'm pissed that the names haven't come out. But the only reason why I'm pissed is because I have no reason to believe that the federal government will do the right thing, because they've never done the right thing on things like this. They don't do it. They either give you some BS answer, or they're like, and you know what? He's too elderly to even stand trial. I know she said put acid on all of her servers, but she didn't mean that in a bad way.
Right. Usually these people aren't held accountable.
They're never held
at that
accountable.
level.
And so my frustration comes from these people have never been held accountable. But I think we've seen that there's a new sheriff in town. He operates differently, and he's put really good, competent people around him. And so shouldn't we jump to the conclusion, still trust yet verify? And that's really important. Do you think Donald Trump actually trusted the Russians? No. But for the sake of everybody getting along, I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to trust you. And we're going to move forward on this trust. But I'm also sending in inspectors because you're not trustworthy. Our government, no matter who's in charge, is never trustworthy. You should never trust them. You should trust and verify.
Let me ask you a difficult question on this.
Ooh, boy. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Why not?
Throw it
We
out
had a good week. Let's go out.
Blow it up. No, how much of what you just said is essentially copium? Like you are the mythical drug that helps you cope with you not getting what you want.
I thought about that a lot. I don't think so.
You don't think, because what it sounds like, and I know this isn't what you're doing, but what it sounds like.
I know what it sounds like.
It sounds like the Pizzagate people who are like, well, so they didn't have a basement in that. That's because they knew we were coming and sealed off the basement where they were keeping the cactus, and they moved it to another restaurant.
I know.
It's like,
I know
at some point.
I know.
It's just, is it important to just acknowledge that this isn't there? They're never going to release it. No,
because I don't know that's true.
I don't know it's true either. But I mean, it's possible.
I could say that Donald Trump. I could say that Joe Biden, that George Bush, Mitt Romney, any of Barack Obama. If that's the kind of president we were looking at, and we had seen an administration that had just done this campaign, and then we didn't have the last 12 weeks or 8 weeks that we've just experienced,
right.
I would say, yeah, we're never going to see that. Nothing's going to happen.
But you think that?
But I think
with this
because
president,
he has shown us what he's shown us, I never trust anyone in the government. But I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and the time. Now, if I'm sitting here a year from now and that thing hasn't been released, I don't trust you.
Do I put this in the calendar?
And I think that is verification. Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm putting it in the calendar.
Yeah.
A year from now, you're going to be very upset.
Well, no, I'm upset now.
Okay, so
but I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt.
You write the calendar entry. March 14, 2026.
If there has been no release of these documents, no release of what is at least on the tapes, It's kind of buried and it's just nowhere. And there's been no prosecution. This administration was lying to us. They're no different on that topic than everybody else. But I don't think that's true. I want you to play this video. Okay, a year from now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because then I can say, well, see, giving him the benefit of the doubt was the right thing. Or,
yeah, that's a great
God,
way
was
of
I
looking at it.
stupid?
Okay.
I must have been high on copium.